Welcome back to Casually Becoming CEO.
Yeah.
Now, today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the world of YouTube,
Okay.
specifically how to build a channel that can actually help you reach your goals.
Yeah.
Whether that's for like growing a business or maybe even establishing yourself as like an expert in a particular field,
Yeah.
or even just like connecting with a really awesome community.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to help us with this, you sent over this really cool video by Ammon Gaji.
Yeah.
This guy's been like killing it on YouTube for I think like a decade now.
Yeah, a long time.
And he's built like multiple successful channels and even businesses just using the platform. So I'm really interested to see what we can kind of glean from him.
Yeah, and what's fascinating about Ayman is that he really stresses that you don't need to be some sort of expert to get started.
Right.
Like, you just need to be one step ahead of your audience.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. You already have knowledge and experience that other people are looking for.
Yeah.
And he started his journey when he was 16 years old.
Wow.
Just documenting his life as a bodybuilder. Like, imagine that. Just sharing his fitness journey and book recommendations.
Yep.
And it resonated.
That's awesome. It's almost like that that beginner's mind advantage, right?
Totally.
You're excited about what you're learning, and that kind of enthusiasm is almost contagious for your viewers.
Yeah.
And speaking of like connecting with an audience, Iron Man talks a lot about this idea of like personal branding.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that, especially in the context of YouTube?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely crucial. Like,
Okay.
it's what sets you apart from just like a sea of content
Right.
and helps you attract the right people. Think of it as like the secret sauce that makes you on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's letting your personality shine through sharing your unique perspective and really owning your story.
So it's not just like the information you're sharing, but it's also how you're packaging yourself.
Yeah.
And like the overall vibe of your channel.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Like, Ironman breaks it down into 3 core elements:
Okay.
content, plan, and packaging.
Okay.
Content being like the actual videos that you create. Right.
The plan is your strategy, like how often you post, what topics you focus on,
Uh-huh.
and packaging, that's all about presentation.
Okay.
The thumbnails, the titles, the way you hook people in like those first few seconds.
Okay. And, he had some pretty interesting strategies when it came to content creation.
Yeah.
I was particularly interested in these ideas of like minefield farming
Oh, yeah.
and problem farming.
Right.
Can you kind of talk about those?
So imagine you're scrolling through YouTube, right?
Yeah.
You're searching for answers to a specific problem.
Yep.
That's where minefield farming comes in.
Okay.
It's all about identifying those like burning questions, those key words that people are actively searching for,
Okay.
and then creating content that directly addresses them.
So you're strategically aligning your content with what people are already looking for, making it more likely that they'll find it.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about this idea of problem farming then?
So it takes it like a step further.
Instead of just answering like surface level questions, you're digging deeper to understand your audience's pain points.
Okay.
Like, what are they really struggling with?
Yeah.
What keeps them up at night?
Right.
Once you identify those problems, you become the go-to person offering those solutions through your videos.
So instead of just like providing information, you're like becoming a problem solver,
Totally.
which can build a much stronger connection with your audience.
For sure.
It's like saying, hey, I understand your struggles and I'm here to help.
Exactly.
That's super powerful.
And Ibn really stresses that you need to provide real value in those solutions.
Okay.
He talks about documenting your journey, sharing your unique perspective, and educating your viewers on topics that you're genuinely passionate about.
Yeah.
And he even like breaks down content into 2 different types.
Okay.
So he's got superficial content that like builds awareness,
Okay.
but he's also got the in-depth content
Uh.
that can actually generate income.
Right. So you need a good mix of both.
Yeah.
You might have like those shorter, more entertaining videos to kind of capture attention.
Right.
And then also those like deep dives and those ultimate guides that really kind of position you as an authority
Yeah.
and offer something tangible and valuable.
Exactly.
I really like that.
Yeah.
But he had a really intriguing take on content research too.
Oh, yeah.
He actually recommends not studying your competitors too closely.
Interesting.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
He believes that you'll always be one step behind if you're constantly trying to emulate what others are doing.
Right.
It's like looking in the rearview mirror instead of focusing on the road ahead.
I like that.
Instead, he suggests studying successful creators from completely different niches and seeing what makes them tick. You can then borrow those winning formats and adapt them to your own content.
So it's almost like finding inspiration from unexpected places
Totally.
and then kind of putting your own spin on it.
Yeah.
So what are some of the examples of those proven formats that he was talking about?
He talks about brand leveraging.
Yeah.
Think of it as like finding successful case studies
Mm-hmm.
and then applying those principles to your own content.
Okay.
Another powerful format is creating ultimate guides,
Right.
those comprehensive resources that answer every question that your audience might have on a specific topic.
So it's like you're offering real value. You're positioning yourself as like the expert.
Yeah,
And you're doing it in a way that stands out from the competition.
exactly.
A really smart approach, I think.
And throughout this process, he really emphasizes the importance of staying true to yourself.
Yeah.
He believes authenticity is what ultimately attracts the right audience,
Mm-hmm.
the people who will genuinely connect with your message.
It's funny, because when you are kind of putting yourself out there on YouTube,
Yeah.
it can be so tempting to try to be someone you're not.
Yeah.
But people can spot a fake a mile away.
Yeah.
It's so much more powerful and honestly less exhausting to just be yourself.
Totally.
And he actually encourages you to embrace your quirks
Okay.
and your own unique perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
He even had a little challenge for viewers.
Oh, yeah.
He said, film 10 videos over 10 days.
Mm.
And the goal isn't perfection.
Right.
It's really just about getting comfortable with the process
Yeah.
and getting your voice out there.
He's big on taking action.
I love that.
It's so easy to get stuck in analysis paralysis, you know,
Oh, yeah.
overthinking everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to jump in and start creating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then also, consistency is key too, right?
Absolutely.
How do you kind of approach that?
So Iman suggests picking one day each week to film your content
Okay.
and like batching your videos to save time.
Okay.
And he also reminds us that you don't need fancy equipment to get started.
Yeah.
Like good audio and a clean background are essential, of course,
Right.
but you don't need a Hollywood studio to create engaging content.
Right. It's about focusing on the content itself,
Exactly.
not getting so bogged down in all those technical details.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really encouraging.
Now, Iman outlines a 90-day game plan. Okay.
For building momentum and refining your signature style on YouTube.
Okay. I definitely want to unpack that.
Okay, so let's dive into this 90-day game plan.
Okay.
He breaks it down into 2 distinct phases,
Mm-hmm.
each with a very specific focus.
Yep.
The first 45 days are all about building momentum.
Okay.
He suggests aiming for like 1 video per week,
Mm-hmm.
experimenting with different topics and styles,
Yeah.
and really just focusing on getting content out there consistently.
Mm-hmm.
It's about building that habit, finding your rhythm,
Right.
and getting comfortable showing up online.
So it's almost like you're testing the waters a little bit,
Yeah,
seeing what resonates with your audience.
exactly.
And honing in on what you enjoy creating.
Totally.
Okay. Okay, so what happens then in that second phase?
Right. So from day 46 to 90,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the focus really shifts to refining your signature style.
Okay.
You spent the first 45 days experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time to analyze what's working.
Okay.
Iman talks about identifying your growth topics.
Right. Those videos that are performing well
Yeah.
and really resonating with your audience.
Right.
And then you double down on those topics
Right.
and create more content in that vein.
So you're taking those insights from those first 45 days,
Yeah.
that data,
Mm-hmm.
and using that to kind of shape your content moving forward.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do you actually identify those growth topics, though?
Right.
Is it just a matter of like looking at views or...
It's a little more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Iman really emphasizes looking at watch time
Okay.
as a key metric.
Right.
The videos with the longest watch time are the ones that are truly captivating your audience.
Right.
That's what YouTube's algorithm rewards.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a strong indicator that you're creating content people genuinely value.
It makes sense.
Mm.
If people are sticking around,
Right.
it means you're giving them something worthwhile.
Exactly.
It's not just about getting them to click.
Mm-hmm.
It's about keeping them engaged
Yes.
and coming back for more.
Now, speaking of keeping people engaged,
Yeah.
let's go back to this idea of authenticity that we touched on earlier.
Okay.
Iman really hammers this home throughout the video.
Mm-hmm.
He even directly addresses the common fear of showing your face on camera.
It's interesting because for a lot of people, that's the biggest hurdle.
Oh, yeah.
putting yourself out there can be so intimidating.
Yeah.
Especially when you're first starting out.
Totally.
What are some of the points he makes about overcoming that fear?
So he actually challenges viewers to ask themselves,
Okay.
what are you truly scared of?
Mm-hmm.
He points out that being a YouTuber is a highly sought-after career path these days.
It is.
Like, in fact, he cited a study where nearly 30% of kids aged 8 to 12 listed YouTuber as their top career choice.
Wow.
And another study showed that 54% of adults would quit their jobs to become full-time creators.
That's a lot.
So if it's something that people aspire to, why hide?
It's like he's saying, if you want to be in this space, embrace it fully.
Yeah.
Don't let fear hold you back, which I think is really powerful.
Now, he also makes this really insightful point about how your personal brand becomes even more important in the age of AI.
It's almost counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
You'd think AI would make personal branding less relevant,
Totally.
but it's almost the opposite.
Well, yeah, because you might think, oh, well, if AI can create content, why do I even need to bother?
Exactly.
But Ayman argues that even if AI can churn out articles or scripts, it can never replicate the human element.
Right.
It can't replace genuine connection, shared experiences, and the unique perspective that you bring to the table.
So it's about leveraging those things that make you uniquely human.
Exactly.
Your personality, your stories, your vulnerabilities. Those are the things that resonate with people.
Yeah.
On a deeper level.
And he highlights some real-world benefits of having a strong personal brand.
Okay.
He talks about how it can help you attract clients or customers without having to constantly chase them down. He uses this phrase, stop chasing, start attracting.
Oh, I like that.
Which I think is really powerful.
It's about shifting your mindset from desperation to magnetism.
Yes.
When you have a strong personal brand, people are drawn to you.
Yeah.
Because they align with your values, your energy, your message.
Exactly. And he shares some really compelling examples of this in action.
Yeah.
He talks about his friend Goom.
Okay.
He who built a multi-million-dollar software company called Gleese, largely thanks to the personal brand he cultivated on YouTube.
That's awesome.
He also mentions Alex Becker, who has a software company called Hyros, and George Heaton, who built a successful clothing brand called Represent.
Okay, so these are all like really inspiring examples.
Yeah.
Showing that YouTube can really be like a springboard for so much more than just like creating videos.
For sure.
It can be a platform for building businesses, launching brands, and achieving real-world success.
Yes.
But I'm curious, he also mentions this thing called the 7-1-14 rule.
Oh, yeah.
Can you break that down a little bit?
So it's a concept that highlights the importance of building trust and rapport over time.
Okay.
The rule states that a buyer typically needs 7 hours of interaction.
Wow.
Across 11 touch points.
Okay.
In 4 separate locations before making a purchase.
Okay, so that's a lot of interaction.
Yeah.
It really underscores the fact that you can't just expect people to buy from you.
Right.
After watching one video.
Exactly.
It takes time and effort to nurture that relationship.
And that's why YouTube is such a powerful platform for building a personal brand. It allows for that longer form content where you can really dive deep into a topic, showcase your personality, and build those crucial touch points with your audience.
So it's not just about creating like quick, flashy content. It's about building a library of valuable resources that people can come back to again and again.
Totally.
And really kind of deepen that relationship over time.
Now, he also talks about how YouTube's algorithm is currently favoring smaller creators.
Oh, that's good.
Which is fantastic news for anyone just starting out.
I was going to say that could be really daunting.
Oh, yeah.
When you think about competing with these mega channels that have millions of subscribers.
Yeah.
But knowing that the algorithm is giving smaller creators a chance is really encouraging.
It means you don't need a massive following to get your content seen and make an impact. What matters most is creating that high-quality, engaging content that resonates with your target audience.
Yeah, I think that's super important. But it's not like a static platform, is it?
No.
He talks about how YouTube is constantly evolving.
Right.
And how creators really need to adapt to kind of stay ahead of the curve.
You're absolutely right. The digital landscape is always changing.
Yeah.
And YouTube is no exception. He's seen significant changes in the algorithm over the years. And he emphasizes the importance of staying informed and adjusting your approach as needed.
So it's not about finding a formula and just sticking to it rigidly. It's about being flexible, experimenting, and constantly learning and adapting.
Yeah. And he also stresses the importance of having a plan and sticking to it.
Right.
He suggests creating a content calendar.
Okay.
And batching your filming to make the process more efficient.
Yeah.
And less overwhelming.
That's such good advice.
Yeah.
I know from personal experience that content creation can so easily become all-consuming.
Oh, yeah.
Having a plan in place really helps you stay organized and focused. And batching your filming just saves you time and energy in the long run.
Absolutely. And he encourages viewers to have fun with the process.
Right.
He believes that your passion and enthusiasm will shine through in your videos and make them more engaging for your audience.
It's so true. When you're genuinely enjoying yourself, it shows in your content.
Yeah.
And that energy is contagious.
He wrapped up this section by reminding viewers that they are just one piece of content away from building a successful personal brand and achieving their goals.
Right.
He also points out that you don't need millions of followers or views to be successful.
Right.
Even a smaller, highly engaged audience can be incredibly valuable, especially when you're focused on building a business or offering specific products or services.
So it's that reminder that quality trumps quantity.
Yes.
You're better off having a smaller group of people who are truly invested in what you have to offer than like a massive following who are just passively consuming your content.
Now let's move on to the part that I think is particularly relevant for anyone wanting to grow their presence on YouTube, packaging.
Okay, let's unpack that. All right, so we're back. And we're ready to kind of unpack this idea of packaging. We talked about it a little bit in the last part. Right. But let's really get into the specifics here. Because Ayman makes it really clear that this is kind of where the magic happens.
He's absolutely right. You can have the best content in the world, but if your packaging is terrible, nobody's going to see it.
It's like having a brilliant book with a dull cover.
Exactly.
No one's going to pick it up.
It's not going to grab anyone's attention.
So how do we avoid that?
Yeah.
How do we make sure our content is kind of like dressed to impress?
So remember how Ayman emphasized that YouTube is essentially a numbers game?
Right.
He talks about CTR, which stands for click-through rate, and watch time being the two key metrics that YouTube's algorithm uses to determine a video's success.
It's not just about how many views you get.
Right.
It's how many people are clicking on your video.
Yeah.
And then how long they're sticking around to watch.
And packaging is all about optimizing for those two metrics. Right. It's making sure your thumbnails, your titles, and your hooks are all working together to grab that attention and keep people engaged.
So let's break it down a little bit. Let's start with thumbnails. What are some of Ayman's top tips for creating thumbnails that actually convert?
So he uses this brilliant analogy. He says that creating thumbnails isn't about art.
Okay.
It's about engineering.
Okay.
You're not trying to create like a masterpiece. You're designing a tool to achieve a specific goal, which is getting people to click on your video.
I love that because it takes the pressure off.
Totally.
You don't need to be like a Photoshop wizard to create effective thumbnails.
He even says that some of his best performing thumbnails are actually quite simple.
Okay.
Like a mid-action shot of him teaching or sharing an idea with like clear, bold text overlay.
Right.
That highlights the key takeaway.
So it's about capturing the essence of the video in a visually appealing way. You want to make it clear what the video is about and why someone should click on it.
And he shares his thumbnail rule of 3, which I think is a super helpful framework. He suggests including your face, showing genuine emotion, clear and readable text, and then a visual element that kind of adds context to the video's topic.
And I remember he mentioned, too, that he often tests different thumbnails to see what performs best.
He's all about that data-driven decision-making.
Right.
Doesn't rely on guesswork or personal preference. He looks at the numbers to see what's actually resonating with his audience and driving those clicks.
So we've got our eye-catching thumbnail now. Let's talk about titles. What are some of Ayman's tips for crafting titles that actually make people want to click?
So he's very clear about this. A good title has one job and one job only. To get people to click on your video. It's all about sparking curiosity and making it very clear what value the viewer will get from watching.
And he also suggests being specific, piquing that curiosity and using those how-to and why titles that really kind of draw people in.
He gives some great examples like How to Get Rich with AI in 2024. Or 3 Books That Changed My Life. These titles are intriguing and make you want to learn more.
And he also had a really helpful tip about character count. right?
Yes.
Something about making sure your title doesn't get cut off.
Yeah.
In like the YouTube search results.
Absolutely. He says to aim for a title that's no longer than 55 characters.
Okay.
Otherwise, it might get truncated
right.
and lose its impact.
Okay, so we got our enticing thumbnail. We've got our click-worthy title. Now let's talk about the hook.
Okay.
That all-important first few seconds of our video.
Hooks are absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Remember that statistic that Ayman shared?
Yeah.
About like 80% of viewers dropping off in the first 30 seconds?
It's a lot.
It means you have a very short window to capture their attention.
Right.
And convince them that your video is worth their time.
It's almost like a first date. You got to make a good impression fast.
Exactly.
Where they're swiping left.
So how do we craft a hook that is both engaging and authentic?
Right.
Ayman suggests a few different approaches.
Okay.
You could start with a bold claim. You could spark curiosity.
Oh.
Or offer like a very clear value proposition to the viewer.
So instead of saying something generic like,
right.
Hey guys,
yeah.
welcome back to my channel.
Totally.
You would say something like,
right.
I made $110,000 in my first month online with zero experience.
Yeah.
And today I'm going to show you exactly how.
That's a hook.
That's a good one.
It grabs your attention.
Yeah.
Makes you want to hear more.
It promises something valuable and specific. And it does it in a way that feels authentic and relatable.
And remember, Ayman stresses that your hook should tie into the overall message of your video.
Right.
It shouldn't be some clickbaity tactic that misleads viewers.
It's about being genuine and delivering on the promises that you make in those first few seconds.
Yeah. So there you have it. Thumbnails, titles, hooks. Yeah. These are the elements of packaging that can really make or break your video success.
Right.
It's about presenting your content in a way that's both appealing and effective.
This whole deep dive has been so insightful.
Yeah.
I think Ayman's advice is incredibly practical and actionable.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a much better understanding of how to approach YouTube strategically now and create content that actually gets seen and makes an impact.
Yeah, and he breaks it down in a way that feels approachable.
Right.
Even for someone who's just starting out.
I especially love his emphasis on authenticity.
Yeah.
And finding your own unique voice. It's a nice reminder that we don't need to be perfect.
Right.
Or try to copy what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
We can succeed by being ourselves.
Totally.
And sharing our passions with the world.
And he leaves us with that powerful thought that you are just one piece of content away from building $1 million personal brand.
That's a great reminder that we all have the potential to achieve some pretty great things.
Yeah.
If we just take action and start creating.
So what are you waiting for?
Try it.
Get out there and make some magic happen on YouTube.
You never know what you might achieve.